Hey, you know what? This stuff's interesting. Let me keep reading. I'm not looking for God. I'm still looking for
You're looking for the tattoo.
Exactly.
I want to welcome you back again for another story answering the question, is God active? Today, I am here with Theo Walther, and he has a story that takes us from the hood. Well, you'll have to hear the rest of it.
So I'm really going to talk a little bit about where Jesus saved me from being demonically possessed. And as a little child, I started off going to church, but eventually it led me to, I walked away from the church and started hanging out with the wrong crowd. I myself was a part of a group of kids in a neighborhood of low income housing, and we didn't have a lot of money. And all of our guys, we grew up together and started getting into trouble in our teenage years. Started selling drugs, started doing drugs, started breaking into cars and stealing cars and robbing from people and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. Eventually, that led me to going further and further away from God to the point where I actually made a decision that I wanted to either choose God or choose the devil. And faced with that fork in life, I made a choice to serve the devil based on seeds that were planted in me when I was a little bit younger. And those seeds came to fruition at that point, and I thought I'd be lost anyways. So I chose Satan, and I walked down that path. And in that role, walking with Satan, calling Satan my father, I got to a place where I was making money and I was doing a lot of things successful as a young man in that world. I was making money, but what I was leading to, or where that was going, was going to take me to a darker place. So that darker place came in the night where I actually came face to face with Satan. And what happened was I was hanging out with a friend, and we were drinking, and she had introduced a pipe, and that pipe kind of looked like black magic, voodoo, shrunken head kind of thing with gems in it and so forth. And when I saw it, I heard the voice of Satan for the first time in my entire life speak to me and tell me I have to smoke that. So I did. I jumped on board. I started smoking, and I got so high, so wasted. But while I was in that place, I had an experience where I believe Satan basically spoke to me and showed me how to make the money that I wanted to make, way and above just robbing people or, selling drugs on the level that I was at. It involved being willing to take someone's life. And I hadn't, up until that point, been okay with that. I mean, people will do bad stuff, but they don't cross the line,
Right.
So I had made the decision that, okay, now that I understand how this thing works, I'm going to do it. So not that night, but the night following, I had a different encounter. And this is after the day before, using the Bible, corrupting a friend.
Well, you don't even hear something like that. You're using a Bible to corrupt your friend. We'll keep going, sorry.
Well, yeah, you don't. But I mean, I use the Bible talking about the fact that God is not interested in us being lukewarm.
Okay.
Right? In Revelations 13, it talks about not being hot or cold, but being in the middle, lukewarm, and how God rejects us for being in that lukewarm state. So I use that to corrupt my friend to say, hey, man, let's then go all the way in. If we're going to be
right.
cold-blooded, then let's be cold-blooded, So eventually that night, I had an experience where I was demon-possessed. What happened was I was laying down at night and I felt this fire all over my body. And I thought God was taking me to hell. I thought this was it,
Thought you were dying.
Crossed the line. And so I closed my eyes and I said, okay, because I know I can't run from God. And I said, all right, let's go. If we're going to hell and this is how I end, then this is how I am. But in that moment, I started praying and talking about my friends and family members who hadn't necessarily given their life to God or not. They're kind of in the middle. And I said, don't let them go to hell for, the little stuff, what they're doing. Make them make a decision. You're either all in or say, no, you're all out, just like me. And I was all out. So I said, let someone make a choice. So if they come to hell, at least we're there because we went all out. And when that happened, I felt that all that fire on me, it started to be extinguished. Cold started coming into me from my legs and up my arm. And when it fully enveloped me, I really thought that I had died at that moment. But I had no idea what transpired was that demons had possessed my body. And going forward from that day, I had met some people. I had certain experiences where I met people who also may have had, or did have demon possession within them too. Pretty scary people that were kind of gangster, I guess. And trying to make a long story short here, that led me to making a plan with my friend to go out of town. And we were going to go and we're going to start robbing people and doing what we had to do to make that money, which included taking life. So we weren't going to do that where we're from in Toronto. We were going to go out of town and get that started. On the way out of town with my friend, we were driving, and my friend at the point, he was driving the vehicle, and I was sleeping, taking a break. We were going through New Brunswick at the time. And I was sleeping and I woke up and he was driving, but the car was going off the side of the road because the joint that he was smoking kind of fell on the ground. So he was picking it up. And I grabbed the car, put us back in the road, and he put his hands on the wheel. And then for some strange reason, he just jerked the car. Car started sliding, and next thing it started rolling down the highway. Thought we were gonna die. At the point in time, I was bouncing around, but I wasn't hitting anything. I was like, this is amazing. Maybe I can't die. I didn't know if that's what it was, being demon possessed. I thought maybe that was the case. So long story short, I ended up in jail. I got arrested that night. The car that we were in was a stolen vehicle. And while we were in jail, I thought, okay, I'm going to get a slap on the wrist. This is my first charge as an adult. When I was younger, I done all sorts. Like I said, I've been in jail as a youth minor. Went to jail for robbery, 8 counts of robbery, all sorts of stuff. But as an adult, I hadn't been in jail at all. So this is my first time and possession of a stolen vehicle. I said, I'm gonna get a slap on the wrist. I'll be out there doing the real stuff that I was gonna do. So at this point, while I'm in jail, there's another gentleman in jail who was in there on $1 million drug charge, not a small time player from the East Coast, who wanted to recruit me to join his gang. Okay. And this gentleman, he could sense and see what I had about me, like the respect that I got while I was in there. Not that I was pushing it out there, but I just gained it. And maybe it's because of what was in me. I was cool with people and kind of knew a few of the guys' stories. This one guy, he was talking to me, wanted me to be a part of his crew. And while we were talking, he talked to me a lot about the money, how much money we're gonna make, houses, cars, taking trips to islands and, running the city, going to clubs, VIP, everything all the time. And it sounded good, at least because of where I was going and what I wanted and what my vision was, why I wanted money, the life that I wanted. This was what sounded good. So I was gravitating towards him. And I didn't know that God had a plan, but at the time while I'm talking with him, there was also a sub-story happening in my life where I have tattoos and stuff. And I wanted to get a tattoo at the time that talked about what a evil man was, but I wanted the source to be something from the Bible. There's a lot of artists in the world, like Tupac, Nas, and some others that have tattoos that depict either crosses, they have it on their back or on their chest, on their body, or praying hands and stuff. Like a lot of people who are following the devil have a lot of Christian symbolism around them. They wear a lot of crosses and Jesus face with diamonds in it and stuff like this. So even though they don't follow God, they carry things that act as if they are. All right. And so it was the same for me. I wear diamonds, crosses full of diamonds and stuff. But it didn't mean that I lived for God at all. And it's the same with them. So the deception of it was there. So I wanted a tattoo from the Bible that talked about the life of an evil man, but I wouldn't put the whole verse, just the chapter verse, on my arm, and then you could go read it for yourself if you want to find out what kind of guy I was, So I asked my friend, you know of anything like that in the Bible? Because I had no idea. And my friend said to me, yeah, there's something in the book of Proverbs that says blah, blah, blah. And I can't remember exactly what he said, but whatever he said, that really pulled me in. And I was like, you know what? Let me try and find that. So I went to the book of Proverbs. When you're in jail and you ask for a Bible or a Quran, whatever, they're going to give it to you. So I asked for a Bible, and I sat down and I said, I want to find this. I'm not praying to God, none of that. I start at chapter 1, verse 1, and I start reading it. I don't want to be one of those people who have a Chinese tattoo on and doesn't know exactly what it means kind of thing. I got to know what this thing means, right? So as I'm reading through it, I get down to verse 7, and it says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and they hate instruction. And I said, I don't hate those things, because I know in order to make money, you got to follow counsel. If you want to sell drugs, if you want to sell anything illegal, whatever it is, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And people who are humble enough to learn can climb higher. And so I said, I don't hate knowledge. I love knowledge. And I kept reading. And God caught me by verse 10 by showing me that there's verse 10, 11, 13, 14. It talks about gang life. It talks about murder and gang life and joining together with a crew to go out there and make money. And I didn't know this was in the Bible. I never had that experience as a little child when I went to church. So at this point, I made a decision. Hey, you know what? This stuff's interesting. Let me keep reading. I'm not looking for God. I'm still looking for
You're looking for the tattoo.
Exactly. So as I'm reading through, God is talking to me about the value of wisdom and knowledge and comparing it to everything else. And it says wisdom and knowledge is more valuable than rubies, diamonds, silver, gold, anything you could desire. I was like, what? That was backwards to me. I didn't know that you would put wisdom and knowledge on that level. And that's what happened. As I was reading through, God was started to change my mind. I still wasn't looking for God. I was still demon possessed, but he was speaking to me in a way that made sense. Now, when I'm talking to the same guy who's trying to recruit me, we're having conversation and he keeps talking to me, money, the girls, this, the parties, the clubs. We can buy bottles and like going into the club and just buying bottles nonstop. And it's like, yeah, that's the life. But now those verses that I was reading, they start coming back to my mind. And when they're coming back to my mind, it contradicts what he's saying. He's saying money's important. I'm like, no, it's not. Knowledge and wisdom. And it's like the Holy Spirit was doing that without me knowing. And as I'm seeing that these words are contradicting everything he's saying, I come to the realization, this man here is deceived. This man is lost. His mind is in the wrong place. And when I realized that, God turned the mirror into me and I could see that I was lost. I was deceived. I was on the wrong team. And I had no hope. I felt like I didn't know what I was going to do. Instead of Satan being my friend, Satan was playing me for a chump. And I was following right behind him. And I said, I don't want to be in this position. So when we went back into our cells, I went on my knees. I didn't know what to do. And I didn't even think God would listen to me. I'm just going to talk to him. I didn't even think he would listen to me. But I said, God, and I mean, my prayer was so simple at the time. All this money, all these women, the power, everything that Satan had promised me, the things that I'd been seeing over the last few years, everything. I said, God, I don't want this stuff no more. And while I was talking, I felt God touch me. And it was like being anointed. It was the most incredible thing. I still had my eyes closed on my knees and I felt this anointing come over me. And in that moment, it wasn't audible, but I could hear God tell me that he loved me and that he forgives me. And when that was finished, when that prayer was done, the demons that I had inside of me and the power that they had over me, all of that was gone. All of that was gone. And from that moment is when I knew God was really active.
Man. Wow. I was living right in there with you.
Yeah.
Oh, man. There's a text in the Bible, and it comes out of James chapter 4, verses 7 and 8. Now, this is what the Bible says. It says, "So humble yourselves before God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Come close to God, and he will come close to you. Wash your hands, you sinners. Purify your hearts, for your loyalty is divided between God and the world." As we listen to Theo's story, and we see the struggle between gaining this stuff around us, wealth, money, all these different things, with the hope that it's going to give us something. And then to realize that all the stuff, when that mirror shone back at him, it was just deception. You might be listening to this and thinking, I can relate to this story. I've been going after this. I've been going after here. You might be in the middle of gang life. You might be just in the middle of a marriage that is just not going anywhere. And you've been putting things ahead of God in that. You've been trying to put other things to satisfy a relationship. Nothing will satisfy like God. And so I want to invite you today to let God have a chance to speak to you again. Find a Bible. Turn to Proverbs and look for the wisdom that God offers you. And then I want to invite you to join us next week as we continue answering the question, is God active? Thanks for watching today. If you have challenges in your life or worried about your future, I want to invite you to take time to pray. Well, what does that really look like? It's as simple as talking to a friend. And who of us don't have friends that we like to talk to? God cares about the things you're facing in your life right now. Take them to Him. Remember, we're also praying for you. See you next week.